Law of primogeniture. Eldest son inherits. In this story, who should inherit between these two? Ishmael. He's the eldest. He is the legitimate son of Abram. But it's Isaac that God is going to use. So the law of primogeniture goes out the window as far as Judaism is concerned. Isaac, later in the story, has a son. His name is Esau. And he has another son. His name is Jacob. Esau is the eldest. Esau should have received the birthright and led the people. But it didn't work out that way. Isaac is married to a lady by the name of Rebekah. And Esau is Isaac's favorite son. Jacob is Rebekah's favorite son. And she, along with Jacob, plot to steal the birthright from Esau. Anyone know what the name Jacob means? You know? What does it mean? Liar. That's a kind way of putting it. Yeah, a deceiver, one who lives by his wits. And this guy truly is going to prove this to be true. He cons Esau out of his birthright. Esau is a great hunter. He goes out hunting one day, but the game is scarce. He comes back in just starved to death. And there's old Jacob. He's made a pot of beans. And Esau says, "Give me some beans before I die." And Jacob says, "No, not unless you promise me your birthright." And of course, Esau is so famished, and his stomach is the most important thing. He's not looking ahead. He's not taking a long view. He's looking at the immediate situation. He says, "Okay." So they make a swap. So for a bowl of beans, Esau gives away his birthright. As Isaac is coming to the end of his days, though, he's getting ready to pass on his blessing. And he summons Esau. Rebekah, knowing this, disguises Jacob. Esau is a hairy man. That's what the word Esau stands for. Hairy red man. And he probably looked like an orangutan. Jacob is smooth-skinned. Anyway, Rebekah hears this, and she disguises Jacob. She puts some of Esau's clothes on him, covers his arms with sheep wool, and sends him into Isaac, who is blind by this time, with this bowl of venison stew that Esau is famous for making. Isaac eats the stew, and he says, "Come, my son, let me give you a blessing." He pulls him close and sniffs, and he says, "You don't smell like Esau, but you feel like Esau, and the stew is like Esau, so you must be Esau." And he puts the blessing on him. About this time, then, Esau comes into the tent and says, "Father, I'm ready for my blessing." And Isaac says, "What blessing? I've already given it away. It must have been the deceiver Jacob." No offense, Jacob. I didn't name you that. Anyway, so the story's going to continue through Jacob. Now, I told you that his name meant deceiver. As the story goes on, he has to flee for his life because Esau is quite ticked. Even though he made an agreement to give his birthright away, he didn't really mean it. It wasn't, in a written contract. It was simply a verbal agreement. He didn't really mean it. So he's going to kill Jacob. And Jacob flees for his life. He goes back to the homeland of his mother, Rebekah. And he runs into a guy by the name of Laban, who is the brother of Rebekah. And Laban has two beautiful daughters, one by the name of Leah and one by the name of Rachel. And he immediately falls in love with Rachel. This is the delight of his life, the apple of his eye. And he says to Laban, "I want to marry Rachel." And Laban says, "That's great, but where's your dowry?" "I don't have anything." "Well, the only way you get to marry Rachel is if you agree to work 7 years for me." So, because he loves her so much, he agrees to do this. And he labors for 7 years, increasing Laban's flocks and his wealth. And at the end of 7 years, he's ready for his wedding night. He's all in the tent, dressed in his bridegroom clothes. And in comes the bride. Of course, it's dark. And they consummate the relationship. And the next morning, in the light of day, when Jacob opens his eyes, he discovers it's not Rachel, whom he has just laid with, but it's rather Leah. And he's quite upset. But the old deceiver has been outwitted. He goes to Laban and he says, "What's this?" And Laban says, "Well, don't you know our custom? We don't let the youngest daughter marry ahead of the eldest daughter. So work another 7 years and you get Rachel." And so he works another 7 years. And finally is allowed to marry Rachel. Now, he loves her. He tolerates Leah. Okay? Rachel, though, like Sarai, is barren. She cannot have children. Rachel, on the other hand, is pumping them out like rabbits. Between her and her handmaidens, and with Rachel and her handmaidens, they're going to come up with 10 sons. The oldest of which is a guy named Asher. Now, he should be the one to inherit, right? Rachel finally, through much pleading, gets pregnant and gives birth to a little guy named Joseph. What's your namesake, Joy? And Jacob just loves Joseph. Because this is a product of Rachel, this is the apple of his eye as far as offspring go. And you can imagine how it makes the other 10 brothers feel. Jacob makes for Joseph what we call a coat of many colors. It was the finest dress coat you could wear to a party. And of course, Joseph goes around kind of putting on the airs before his brothers, saying, "I'm Daddy's favorite, don't bother me. Don't pick on me. I'll tell Daddy on you." And the end result is these 10 brothers up here get ticked at Joseph, and they devise a plot to get rid of him. They're actually going to kill him. And just as they're ready to do the dastardly deed, Asher looks out and sees a caravan of Midianites coming along. He says, "Wait a minute, folks. Let's not kill the